Today, I am going to show you the one specific meal that actually reverses arterial plaque. Please listen carefully. I am not talking about managing it. I am not talking about slowing it down with more medications. I am talking about reversing it. I am a hypertension specialist, and for years, I have watched the same tragedy unfold. I have seen countless seniors do everything right. You take your pills every morning. You eat the bland, low-fat food. You check your numbers religiously, and yet the plaque keeps growing. The arteries keep stiffening, and you live in fear of the day they finally close up. I am telling you this because I want to save you from that fear. And to do that, we have to be honest. Almost everything you have been told about unclogging your arteries is wrong. The internet is full of nonsense that wastes your time and money. Drinking hot lemon water will not dissolve plaque. Apple cider vinegar will not scrub your arteries clean. And garlic supplements? They cannot melt away decades of damage. It is all a myth. Why? Because your arteries are not kitchen pipes. We tend to imagine that plaque is just grease stuck to the inside of a pipe, and if we just pour the right cleaner down our throat, it will flush away. But your body does not work like a sink. You cannot pour Drano into your system. The reality is far more complex, and actually, far more serious. Plaque is not grease. Plaque is a wound. It is an active, biological war happening inside your chest right now. It is your own immune system attacking the walls of your blood vessels. If you want to stop this war, you don't need a plumber. You need to understand the biology. And that is exactly what I am going to show you today. So, if it's not a plumbing problem, what is actually happening inside you? Here is the reality that the internet gurus won't tell you. Your artery has a delicate inner lining called the endothelium. When you smoke, or have high blood pressure, or uncontrolled blood sugar, you create microscopic cracks in this lining. Think of them as scratches on the inside of a Teflon pan. LDL cholesterol particles slip through these cracks and get trapped inside the wall of the artery. Now, if the cholesterol just sat there, it wouldn't be a crisis. But it doesn't just sit there. It oxidizes. It literally rusts. Just like iron turns to rust when exposed to air, the fat inside your artery wall turns rancid. And your body hates this. Your immune system looks at this oxidized, rusty cholesterol and identifies it as a foreign invader, just like a virus or a bacteria. So, your body declares war. It sends in the Marines. Specifically, it sends white blood cells called macrophages. The word macrophage literally means big eater. Their job is to march into the artery wall and eat the toxic cholesterol to clean up the mess. But in atherosclerosis, this process goes terribly wrong. The macrophages eat too much. They become gorged with toxic, oxidized fat. They swell up until they look like microscopic bubbles under a microscope. We call these foam cells, and then they die. They die right there inside your artery wall. They spill their toxic contents out, triggering more inflammation, calling in more immune cells, creating a massive pile of cellular debris. That is what plaque is. It is not grease. It is a graveyard of dead immune cells, cholesterol crystals, and scar tissue. It is a festering, inflamed wound. This is why you cannot flush it away. You cannot use Drano on a biological wound. To actually reverse this disease, you have to stop thinking like a plumber and start thinking like a doctor. We have to stop the oxidation. We have to calm the inflammation. And we have to help those immune cells take out the trash instead of dying in the hallway. Now that you understand that plaque is an active, festering wound inside your artery wall, you might assume that modern medicine has a sophisticated way to heal it. You would be wrong. The tragedy of standard cardiac care is that it ignores the biology we just discussed and focuses entirely on geometry. Your cardiologist is trained to look for narrowing. They run stress tests and angiograms, looking for arteries that are pinched shut. If they find a blockage that is more than 70% closed, they rush you into the cath lab. They insert a metal stent, inflate a balloon, and crush that plaque against the artery wall to prop the vessel open. On the surface, this looks like a victory. Blood flow is restored. Your chest pain disappears. You feel fixed. But you are not fixed. You have been mechanically patched, but biologically, you are in more danger than ever. The stent did nothing to treat the inflammation. It did nothing to stop the oxidation. The graveyard of dead immune cells is still there, just squashed behind a metal cage. And here is the terrifying truth that most patients never hear. The plaque that kills you is almost never the big one that gets stented. The big, calcified blockages are stable. They cause pain, but they rarely pop. The real killers are the small, silent plaques, the ones that are only 30 or 40% blocked. These plaques are soft, inflamed, and filled with liquid fat. They don't show up on stress tests. They don't cause chest pain, but they are volatile. Without warning, they rupture like a blister. The moment they burst, your blood clots instantly to seal the wound. That clot blocks 100% of the blood flow in seconds. This is the widowmaker. This is why people walk out of a cardiologist's office with a clean bill of health on Tuesday and drop dead on Wednesday. The stent fixed the plumbing, but it ignored the disease. But doctor, you ask, what about my medication? What about the statin? Statins are a powerful tool, but you must understand their limitation. A statin is a defense mechanism. It aggressively lowers your LDL cholesterol, which slows down the accumulation of new plaque. It turns off the faucet. But it does not unclog the drain. Statins do not activate the machinery required to actively remove the cholesterol that is already embedded in your walls. They pause the disease. They do not reverse it. And then comes the final nail in the coffin, the dietary advice. For 50 years, you have been told to eat a low-fat diet to save your heart. This advice has historically backfired. When you cut out healthy fats, you inadvertently destroy your body's only method of self-defense. You lower your HDL. HDL is not just good cholesterol. It is the garbage truck. It is the vehicle designed to pick up the trash from the artery wall and carry it to the liver for disposal. When you follow a strict, low-fat diet, your HDL levels plummet. You are essentially firing the cleanup crew right when you need them the most. You are stopping the new supply of fat, yes, but you are also locking the door so the old fat can never leave. To actually save your life, we have to stop playing defense. We have to stop obsessing over simply lowering numbers and start activating the specific biological pathways that actively pull that plaque out of the wall. We need to switch to offense. So, how do we switch to offense? How do we stop simply managing the decline and start physically removing the garbage that is rotting inside your vessel walls? To do that, we have to activate the gold standard of cardiovascular biology. It is a process called reverse cholesterol transport. I need you to memorize that phrase. Reverse cholesterol transport. It is exactly what it sounds like. Instead of cholesterol moving into the artery wall to create plaque, we reverse the flow. We pull it out of the wall, back into the bloodstream, and send it to the liver to be excreted. This is the only biological mechanism known to science that can actually shrink an existing blockage. It is the only way to turn a 90% blockage back into a 40% blockage without a stent. And at the center of this miracle is a single, microscopic protein. It has a long medical name, ATP-binding cassette transporter A1, but we are just going to call it ABCA1. I want you to think of ABCA1 as the emergency eject button. Right now, inside your arteries, you have millions of those bloated, sick foam cells we talked about. They are stuffed full of oxidized cholesterol, trapped like prisoners in a cell. The ABCA1 protein sits right on the surface of these cells. When this protein is activated, it acts like a high-powered pump. It physically grabs the toxic cholesterol from inside the foam cell and ejects it out into the bloodstream. And guess what is waiting there to catch it? Your HDL, the garbage truck. The ABCA1 loads the cholesterol onto the HDL particle, and the HDL drives it away to the liver. The foam cell shrinks. The inflammation cools down. The artery wall begins to heal. This is how you reverse the disease. But here is the tragedy, and the reason why you are watching this video. In almost every patient with heart disease, this mechanism is broken. Your eject button is disconnected. For most people eating a standard diet, the ABCA1 gene is dormant. It is asleep. Your foam cells are screaming for help. They are swelling with fat, but the pump isn't running. The HDL trucks drive by, but they leave empty because nothing is being ejected. The plaque just keeps growing until it ruptures. This is where we change the game. The dietary protocol I am about to give you is not just eating healthy. It is a targeted genetic intervention. The foods we are going to discuss, specifically the compounds in olive oil and pomegranate, are chosen for one specific reason. They scientifically prove to upregulate the ABCA1 gene. We are going to use food to manually reach into your cells and flip the switch back on. We are going to force that eject button to fire. We are not waiting for a magic pill to be invented 20 years from now. We are going to use bioactive compounds to hijack your body's own machinery and force it to start cleaning itself today. This is the difference between passive management and active reversal. Now, let's look at the specific ingredients that make this happen. But here is the catch. You can flip that eject button all you want, and you can load up the HDL garbage trucks until they are overflowing. But if the road is closed, the trash isn't going anywhere. You cannot transport cholesterol out of a collapsed constricted artery. You need to open the highway. And this brings us to the first pillar of our arterial remodeling meal, the restoration of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide, or NO, is a gas. It is the single most important molecule for the health of your blood vessels. It is produced by the inner lining of your arteries, and its job is to keep the vessel wide, flexible, and slippery. It turns your arteries into Teflon. When NO is present, blood flows freely, and plaque cannot find a foothold. But in diseased arteries, the endothelium is damaged. It stops making this gas. Your vessels become stiff, narrow, and sticky. To fix this, we are going to bypass the damaged endothelium entirely. We are going to use a backdoor mechanism called the enterosalivary nitrate pathway. This is biology, not magic. When you eat specific foods high in natural nitrates, specifically arugula, rocket, and beets, your body absorbs those nitrates into the bloodstream. They travel to your salivary glands, where they are concentrated and secreted into your saliva. And this is where the magic happens. As you swallow your own saliva, the bacteria living on the back of your tongue convert those nitrates into nitrites. When those nitrites hit your stomach acid, boom, they explode into nitric oxide. Your arteries dilate instantly. The road is open. But listen to me closely, because this next part is a critical warning. If you mess this up, the entire protocol fails. You must stop using antiseptic mouthwash immediately. Throw it in the trash. I know you have been told that killing 99% of germs is a good thing, but mouthwash is a weapon of mass destruction. It does not discriminate. It kills the bad bacteria that cause cavities, but it also nukes the good bacteria on your tongue that are responsible for converting nitrate into nitrite. Without those bacteria, you can eat a wheelbarrow full of arugula, and you will get zero benefit. The pathway is broken. We have seen studies where perfectly healthy people used mouthwash for just 3 days, and their nitric oxide production collapsed. Their blood pressure spiked. Their arteries stiffened. All because they sterilized their mouth. To heal your heart, you must rely on brushing and flossing only. Let the microbiome on your tongue survive. So, the first step of the meal is non-negotiable. You are going to eat a massive salad base of 2 to 3 cups of fresh arugula. This provides 300 to 500 milligrams of nitrates. Chewing it slowly allows it to mix with your saliva. Within hours, your systemic nitric oxide levels will soar. Your arteries will relax and widen. You have now opened the road. And once the road is open, we are ready to bring in the heavy machinery to start scrubbing the walls. Now that we have used the arugula to dilate your arteries and open the road, we face a new problem. An open highway is useless if you don't have a fleet of trucks to haul away the garbage. We have cleared the path, but we still need a chemical signal to physically extract the cholesterol from the plaque and load it onto the transport vehicles. This brings us to the second, and arguably the most controversial, ingredient in this protocol. This is the part where I have to ask you to unlearn 50 years of bad advice. You have been trained to fear fat. You have been told that oil clogs your arteries. But to save your life, you are going to pour a massive amount of oil directly onto your salad. But not just any oil. We need high phenolic extra virgin olive oil. Here is the secret the food industry hides. Most olive oil on the shelf is dead. It is processed, filtered and stripped of its power. We don't care about the fat. We care about the medicine suspended inside the fat. Specifically, we are looking for a bioactive compound called oleocanthal. Oleocanthal is a natural powerhouse. It is a potent anti-inflammatory, biologically similar to ibuprofen but without the stomach damage. It calms the fire inside your vessel walls. But how do you know if your oil has it? You have to taste it. When you swallow a spoonful of high-quality oil, it should not be smooth. It should hurt. It should create a peppery, scratching, burning sensation at the back of your throat that makes you want to cough. If your oil is smooth and mild, throw it away. It is useless. That cough is the medicine working. That burn is the oleocanthal. Why is this compound non-negotiable? Because oleocanthal is the chemical finger that presses the eject button. Studies show that this specific phenolic compound directly upregulates the ABCA1 transporter on your foam cells. It wakes up the dormant machinery. It forces those sick, bloated cells to spit out the cholesterol they have been hoarding. Without the oil, the cholesterol stays trapped. With the oil, it is ejected into the bloodstream, where your HDL, the garbage trucks, can finally pick it up. And we are not talking about a drizzle. This is a medicinal intervention. The protocol calls for 4 tablespoons, about 50 milliliters per day, poured generously over your arugula. I know that sounds like a lot. I know you are worried about calories. But look at the science. The landmark PrettyMed study, one of the largest nutrition trials ever conducted, proved this. They compared a low-fat diet against a high-fat diet supplemented with this exact amount of olive oil. The result? The olive oil group slashed their risk of cardiovascular events by 30%. The low-fat group? They failed. The science is clear. The nitrates opened the gates. Now, the olive oil is loading the trucks. We are extracting the poison. But we still have one major problem left to solve. The arteries themselves are turning into bone. We need to stop the calcification. We have opened a road with nitrates. We are extracting the cholesterol with olive oil. But we are still facing one final, deadly obstacle. Even if we manage to drain the fat, it might not matter if the vessel itself has turned into stone. You see, cholesterol is not your only enemy. As plaque matures, it changes. It stops being a soft, fatty deposit, and it begins to calcify. Your body, trying to wall off the inflammation, lays down calcium deposits over the wound. Over time, your flexible, elastic arteries literally turn into bone. They become rigid, concrete pipes. We measure this with a coronary calcium score. If you have ever had a CT scan and seen a high number, 400, 800, over 1,000, that is what you are looking at. You are looking at how much of your heart has turned to stone. And standard medicine has absolutely no solution for this. Your cardiologist will look at that score and say, well, it's high, take your statin. But statins do not remove calcium. But biology does. To solve this, we need to introduce the third pillar of our protocol, vitamin K2, specifically in the MK7 form. Do not confuse this with vitamin K1 from spinach, which clots your blood. K2 is different. It is the director of calcium. Inside your body, there is a protein called matrix GLA protein, or MGP. This protein is the traffic controller. Its entire job is to patrol your soft tissues, your arteries, your heart valves, and kick calcium out. It grabs the calcium and shouts, "You don't belong here. Go to the bones." But here is the tragedy. In most modern people, MGP is asleep on the job. It is inactive. Why? Because it requires vitamin K2 to wake it up. Without adequate K2, the traffic controller is paralyzed. Calcium drifts aimlessly out of your bones and settles into your arteries, hardening them into porcelain. So, how do we get this critical nutrient? This is the hardest part of the diet, because K2 is rare. The single best source on earth is a Japanese food called natto fermented soybeans. In Japan, where natto is a staple, heart disease rates are incredibly low. But I will be honest with you. Natto is an acquired taste. It is slimy, sticky, and smells like old socks. Most Westerners cannot stomach it. If you are brave, eat 2 teaspoons of natto a day. If you cannot do that, your next best option is aged cheese, Gouda, Brie, or Edam. The fermentation process creates the K2, but you would need to eat a lot of cheese. For most of my patients, I recommend a high-quality K2 MK7 supplement. You need a therapeutic dose, 180 to 360 micrograms daily, taken with your fatty meal, the olive oil, to ensure absorption. This is the only nutrient shown in clinical studies to stop arterial calcification in its tracks and, in some cases, actually reverse it. By activating MGP, we stop your vessels from turning into bone. We keep them soft. We keep them flexible. And a flexible artery is an artery that can expand, contract, and survive, rather than cracking open and causing a heart attack. This is how we remodel the structure of the vessel itself. We have opened the road with nitrates. We have activated the cleanup trucks with olive oil, and we have stopped the walls from turning to stone with vitamin K too. But to make this protocol truly bulletproof, we have to go upstream. We have to stop the mess from being created in the first place. Remember at the beginning, I told you that LDL cholesterol is only dangerous when it rusts, when it oxidizes. If we can prevent that rust, the entire chain reaction of inflammation never starts. If the LDL doesn't oxidize, the macrophages don't eat it, foam cells don't form, and plaque doesn't grow. So, how do we rust-proof your cholesterol? We need a shield, and that shield comes from the final component of our meal, pomegranate seeds. I am not talking about sugary pomegranate juice. I am talking about the arils, the crunchy red seeds inside the fruit. Pomegranates contain a unique, ultra-powerful antioxidant called punicalagins. When you eat these seeds, the punicalagins enter your bloodstream and physically bind to your LDL particles. Think of it like waxing a car. They create a molecular force field around the cholesterol. Even if you have high LDL, this shield prevents it from reacting with oxygen. It renders the cholesterol invisible to your immune system. The war is called off before the first shot is fired. Now, let's bring this all together. I am going to give you the exact formula. This is not a recipe for a tasty lunch. This is the Arterial Remodeling Protocol. I want you to view this plate of food exactly as you would view a pill prescribed by a doctor. Here is your daily prescription. First, the base. You start with 2 to 3 cups of fresh arugula. This is your nitrate factory. It dilates the vessels and prepares the terrain. Second, the shield. Add 1 cup of fresh pomegranate seeds. These provide the punicalagins to stop the oxidation at the source. Third, the transport. You are going to drench, and I mean drench, that salad with 4 tablespoons of high phenolic extra virgin olive oil. This is your oleocanthal. This is the signal that forces your cells to eject the fat they are holding. Fourth, the activator. On the side, or crumbled on top, you need your vitamin K2 source. If you can handle natto, eat it. If you prefer aged Gouda, add a few slices. Or, simply take your K2 MK7 supplement with the first bite of the salad. This directs the calcium out of your arteries and into your bones. This is the meal. Simple, but biologically complete. But I have one final warning for you. Do not treat this casually. You cannot eat this salad once a week and expect a miracle. You cannot do it for a month and then stop. Atherosclerosis took decades to build up in your body. It will not vanish overnight. You must be consistent. This meal is non-negotiable. You eat it every single day. If you commit to this protocol, and you verify it with blood work and calcium scores, you will see the change. It typically takes 12 to 18 months of consistent application to see significant regression in a calcium score. That sounds like a long time, but compared to the alternative cracking your chest open for bypass surgery, it is a small price to pay. The science is there. The mechanism is proven. The tools are on your grocery list. The only variable left is you. Will you take control of your biology, or will you wait for the system to fail? The choice is yours. Before you go, take a moment to click the video on the left to continue learning, or the video on the right that YouTube chose just for you. And if this helped you today, remember to subscribe for more gentle, science-based health guidance.